Cindy, good to see you.
Nice to see you,
Let's
Dave.
start at the end of this.
Okay.
And tell me what your experience at Morton High School and with the Lady Potters in 1981 to 84, how that helped you become the person you are.
Wow, that is such a good question, and one I think about a lot actually, because I've gone on and gotten my doctorate and taught and have all of this other stuff that I've done, but I think about sports almost every day. And I come to a lot of rooms with a different understanding of how to work with people because of athletics and how to be a leader because of athletics. And I value that as much as I value any of the other things that I've done post-work, and it plays a big role in what I do every single day.
What are those values? The values that shaped you as an athlete, that shaped you as an educator?
So the values, I think the biggest piece, and I think it's something that folks really don't get unless they've played sports, is the value of every single person on a team. And I was always in what for me in high school was an uncomfortable position of being the star. I wasn't really emotionally prepared for that kind of attention on me. But I never would have made it there without a team pushing me. And so I watch people that have a big skill set and a lot to offer, but they devalue the people below them. And they're not going to be ultimately really successful. They'll gain some things, but they won't be able to go to that next level because they look at that person that doesn't start necessarily, or is the janitor in the school, or is a secretary at the school, or an executive assistant, and they look down on them. And those are the people that make it work. They help a team make something function in a way. And so I bring that value to everything that I do. I think about an entire team and how we're trying to pull something off. I work at a university that has 40,000 students and probably 16,000 staff. And if you say, it's a small town. So if you say, well, that person doesn't really matter as much as that star professor has got somebody making sure their lab's set up, making sure the grant money's coming to them. And so it matters.
Who were your coaches here? The coaches that you remember, the teammates you had?
I'll start with the teammates because I just feel so fortunate. It's one of the benefits of a small town, right? I played with the same group of girls from 7th grade on. And most of us played on all of the same teams, but some, there were people that didn't play volleyball or didn't play basketball. But so Kim Finch at the time, Kim Bowler, Lauren Lawrence, Jackie Burhop. See her face and can't remember the name. Jolene Vincent, Sue Krolak. All of those folks. We were on teams from day one, and so I just had a camaraderie and a support system there, and we all loved the same kind of things. We loved sports. Kim and Lauren actually started the first girls track team in junior high. There wasn't one when we were growing up. All we had was volleyball in junior high. So great people that really gave me a solid footing. And I knew even though I was having all this attention put on me, I'd known them for a long time and we played together a long time. So it was a really nice environment. My first basketball coach was, I can't remember her name, Coach Hutnicky. And then I had Scott Replinger, which, all due respect to Coach Hutnicky, he was fantastic. He had played at Illinois State University, and he had played during Doug Collins, I think, was his teammate, so he understood, how to manage somebody like me, kind of faced with a small town with a ton of attention coming at me. And he just brought sort of a calming, real team-oriented approach to basketball.
We're talking about 1981, 82,
yep.
Which is very early in Title IX.
Yeah.
My wife, for instance, would not have played varsity basketball.
Right.
Because we were in school before that. Title IX changed everything. Title IX, to me, as an old sports writer, is the greatest thing that ever happened in my time in sports.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it opened up this whole world of people like you.
Mm-hmm.
What was the program like? We're talking now about the 10th year of Title IX. What was it like then?
It's interesting. You would sort of imagine, based on how history talks about women's sports, that it would have been a hard pull here in a small town for women's sports to be accepted. But when Kim and Lauren decided we needed a girls' track team in junior high. We had the support of the administration. We had support of parents. So I would say that the program was smaller. It had much less attention put on it than the boys. We played in the girls' gym, which was small and only had little bleachers. But I don't know that we ever felt shortchanged. We were just so excited to be doing it. We were so into it. I never felt like we were attacked for being female athletes here. It was just, and maybe that's because we kept in our, our group and just really enjoyed ourselves. And I have to say, I think it was my sophomore year when the volleyball team went to state. We were the first team to place and get a trophy in state. That pulled in a lot of the football players who I think both liked that we won and also that we had long, lovely looking legs. I think that helped. But we had support.
Basketball
Yes.
I noticed that even today.
Yeah.
What year was that?
That was 1982 that I think we got fourth in state. Yeah. A little small team playing all those Chicago teams, and we managed to win the first round, and then they took us.
What's your family background that got you into sports in the first place?
I don't know if it was, well, my dad was an athlete all through high school, and he had a scholarship to play football in college and went for a couple weeks and decided college wasn't for him and joined the military. But my dad was a great football player, as a quarterback.
His name was Denny.
Denny, they called him Denny. Our favorite article was the one that calls him the red thatched kid because he had red hair. Always crack up about that one. So he was really into it, but honestly, I think it was my brother and I were just really competitive with each other. We were not that far apart. I think there's
older.
Yeah, he's about 17 months older, so almost Irish twins, And he was really into sports early and always coming up with games to play, and so I think that got me into it, but it's got to come from my dad.
Was he a football player, your brother?
He
played
1 year of football. That's how good my brother was. He loved basketball, and at the time the coach didn't want him to play football too. And his senior year, he said, forget it, I'm going to play football. 1 year of football, and he got a scholarship offer to a Big Ten school to play football.
Your era here, 81 to 84, who were the good teams? The teams that were your rivals, the teams that you aimed at every year?
Yeah, I think probably our top two basketball rivals were Richwoods and Manual. And they had the two best other players in the region. And Richwoods really was our downfall every year because they were ranked the #1 team in the nation for my last 2 years. They were undefeated those 2 years. They
John Gross coaching?
No, that was Mary Kay Hungate was the coach then. Yeah. And they also had the #1 ranked women's player in the nation, Nora Lewis. And Manuel had Jonelle Polk, who went on to be an All-American at Illinois. She probably still has records at Illinois, too. She was fantastic. Those were the two teams that we really gunned for.
And Polk is connected to today's Richwoods team because she's Jada McLeod's mother.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep. And she runs, I can't remember what center, but it's a center there in Peoria still. So still giving back to the community and getting young people excited about sports. She's a fantastic human being, Jonelle Polk.
One of the things that your name is in the record book, I actually counted today 40 times.
In the Morton record book?
In the Morton record book, 40 different places.
That's amazing.
And I'm always intrigued by the fact that you're second all-time leading scorer, second all-time leading rebounder by thin margins, beaten by players who probably played 40 more games than you did before the three-point shot even.
Yep.
And describe the way that you played the game for Morton.
That's interesting. I think back on that time that I was really a naive. I hadn't played a team basketball until my freshman year in high school. And so I think that first year was just raw talent that got me going. But I think I was just always had a nose for the basket. I always wanted to score. I always wanted to win really badly. And I was just probably a different kind of player from that era. I was very aggressive. I've been playing against my brother most of the time, so I was not afraid to go at it.
Brother, a big guy?
My brother is 6'5".
Big.
Yes. So even though I have all those records, I don't think I ever won a one-on-one with him. I probably won horse against him a few times, but I don't think I ever won a one-on-one. game we ever played.
Because you were an outside shooter too.
I was an outside shooter, yeah. Yeah, I could play facing or with my back to the basket. But just, I think, aggressive, and I was one of those people that wanted to score. I was a scorer.
One of the things that bothers me even today is that the girls are great. The program has been consistently great for a long time now, and maybe 200 people come to the games.
Yeah.
The boys can be 500, and there'll be 1,500 people at the game.
Right.
This is a philosophical, sexist question, maybe, but why is that? Why does that still persist in a day when the United States women win World Cup 4 straight times and are still complaining, as they should, about not being treated equally? Where are we on that continuum of gaining equality?
Yeah, I don't know how that actually ever shifts. The interesting piece is at Indiana, when I played, we probably averaged 600 people at a game. I mean, the stands would largely be empty. We'd go to play Iowa, it'd be full. Yeah. There's nothing else going on, probably, but
but they have a long history of
women's basketball, and
even before Title IX.
Before Title IX, yeah, it was a big deal. And now when I go to Indiana women's games, they probably average 4,000 people. So I mean, that's a pretty big growth, but it's not anywhere near.
And they had one of the great players, Tara.
Yeah, and they just won the WNIT, and they go into the NCAA, and the men's team's been faltering. I think, the piece of it is just that men jump higher, and it's more fun to watch for some people. I love watching women's basketball and women's tennis more because you can see the plays develop, you can see the teamwork in a different kind of way.
Same thing with golf.
Yeah.
Men can learn more about golf watching women play than they can the men. It's a different game.
Yeah,
you have to accept it as the game that it is.
It's different, yeah.
I mean, if John Wooden says that he likes to watch women play basketball because they must know fundamentals, they're not strong enough, fast enough to do it on their own, that's good enough for me.
Yeah.
But tell me about the recruiting that Indiana did of you here. Because Indiana, I did a little history, Indiana was just new in the Big Ten. They had won the Big Ten like 2 years before. How'd that recruiting go?
Oh, the recruiting. It's funny because I really like Dave Becker's humble swagger idea, right? But that recruiting piece, so I probably in high school I struggled more with the humble part, and in college I struggled a little bit more with the swagger part. But, I got recruited by some 200 colleges in high school, and this was, 1984, so that's a lot for women.
Well, you had those 3 great players here. Every coach had to come here.
And I went to all of the sort of Blue Star, and I don't even know if those camps exist anymore, but places where the premier players in certain high schools would go off and compete against each other. So I got seen by a lot of different colleges. And Indiana actually had not come after me initially. They thought I was going to go to University of Illinois for sure, and so they just, kind of went about their way. But there was a player, Tracy Crick, who played for Richwoods. She was the guard on Richwoods' team. She was a year older than me, and she said to them, "You should go back and talk to Cindy Bumgarner. You're missing out if you're not going after her." And so they did, and there was a part of that campus. It's embarrassing at this point to say, but I think a lot of young people do it. I went to that campus and just fell in love with the campus.
It's beautiful.
Not necessarily the program or anything, but they had won the Big Ten, so I'm like, okay, this is one I can, probably, hopefully have some success at. And they valued their program. I mean, again, not at the same level that the men have, but for that era, it was pretty darn good. And I loved the place and I loved the players that were on the team. So thanks, Tracy Crick. She got me there.